been a while since you've heard from me, but I'm back. So I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm your host, Tajon Graham. And this episode, I'm doing something a little bit different. You know, I've been doing this podcast now for probably, 2 or 1 or 3 years now. And I really want to switch it up a bit. I've always done the same teams from like basketball, volleyball, soccer, but I've never had a chance to do the club teams. So what better way to do it than a friend of mine? You know, she's on the Lakers Ringette team, a close friend of mine. We got Miss Lauryn Hamilton. Lauryn, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, first of all, thank you for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No doubt. So before I begin, we really get into season, I just really want people to get an opportunity to know, like, for me personally, you've taught me a lot about what Ringette is, but for those who don't know, what is Ringette?
So it was actually invented in North Bay, which is kind of cool since we're here right now.
Really?
Yeah, it was. So if you ever were to go down to the arena in West Ferris, it like right on the front it says like the birthplace of Ringette, which is pretty cool. So it was created by a guy named Sam Jacks, who's from here, and it originally got started up because women weren't allowed to play hockey.
Wow.
So it got started up in terms of just giving women something to do on ice that wasn't figure skating. So it was started out, you would go out to like an outdoor rink and you played there, and then gradually it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you were allowed to start playing it in the rinks.
So how did you personally get into
So I got started because my dad was involved with it. His sister was very involved when he was a kid. So when I first started to learn how to skate, I just started with Ringette and stuck through it.
I didn't even know it was a North Bay. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So, kind of, how did you end up at Nipissing? Was it because of Ringette, or you just always wanted to come to Nipissing?
So I'm from North Bay, and I just decided to stay in North Bay, save some money, and got some scholarships, and I knew the coach, and the coaching has transferred since I first started, but I knew the coach in my first year, and he's talked about the program, and I guess that had a bit of a factor, but it was more so just because I'm from North Bay.
Yeah, so you're born and raised in North Bay, so was sports always a big part of your life? Like, what sports did you play growing up?
Yeah, sports have always been a very big part of my life. Most of the things I've done have revolved around sports. So growing up, Ringette and soccer were my big sports. So I would play Ringette in the winter and then soccer in the summer. And then once I got to high school, I started playing basketball, soccer, hockey, Ringette. I think that was it.
Wow, I didn't know you played basketball. You played basketball?
Yeah, I started in grade 10 for something to do.
Wow.
And it was actually really fun. So I stuck with that for just through high school, and then I stopped.
Right, so obviously you never seen you do the Ringette. So how has the season been so far up to this point?
It's been really good so far. Like, I've been playing for, I guess, like my first year was a real year. COVID kind of put a bit of a damper on it.
Yeah.
But we got my whole first year in, and then in my second year, we didn't really get anything. Last year, we got some practicing in and some exhibition games in one tournament. So definitely not what we should have done, but this has been the first year that we've really been able to have a full season since my first year, which is a lot of fun. And our team is actually looking pretty competitive, a lot more competitive than what I've been on with Nipissing in the past. So that's really exciting, and the women team has been going really well.
I know you touched on it just now, but obviously over the years I've really talked about how different athletes were affected with COVID. So I never really asked you personally, even off camera, but how did COVID affect you personally as an athlete?
As an athlete, it was tough, like having to do the at-home workouts and just doing things, try to keep myself busy. It's like when it all started up in March, there was still snow on the ground, so you couldn't even really go outside and do a backyard workout or anything like that unless I wanted to run in the snow. Made it pretty difficult. So just having to go into my basement and do something to keep myself busy instead of going to the gym or getting together with friends and playing sports. So it was definitely pretty hard.
Yeah. A lot of people really got to find different parts about themselves they didn't know, or even gain new hobbies. Was there any new hobbies that you gained during the COVID pandemic?
I would say that I got into reading a little bit more.
Okay.
I really wasn't much of a reader. I had, to be honest, I had a pretty hard time being able to sit still because I was always on the go so often. So I really had to teach myself to sit down and like just be in my room and learn how to entertain myself instead of going from this sport to this work to this schooling all the time.
Wow, that's crazy. Because a lot of people got new hobbies during the pandemic. It was it's the fact that it came out of nowhere. That's a really surprise. Like you said, you came here, you were about to play, then boom, COVID hit. But how has it been now that we've really, hopefully, been cleared of the pandemic? But how has life kind of been for you personally now that we're clear of it? You can really be able to play your sport, you've really been able to get the groove of things as student athlete. How has that been for you?
I would say it's definitely a learning curve again. Like I said at the beginning of everything, like I was definitely a person that was always on the go and liked being really busy, and then I had to learn how to just be by myself and be able to hang out at home and all of that. And now it's like, okay, I need to teach myself again how to be busy again and how to manage my time well. Yeah. So it's been a learning curve, but a learning curve that I'm enjoying, we'll say.
This episode of the Lakers Locker Room is brought to you today by BetStep. BetStep switches the best odds from every sportsbook in one spot. That means you can find the best odds to win the most money. Head over to beststop.am today to learn more and to access all the affiliates and the prices. Let's stay on that for a second, because I know even throughout the time I've always talked to people about, okay, what are things that people learn coming to university? Like when I first came to university, my time management skills were terrible, like straight up they're bad. Yeah. But as you've grown, as you evolved as a student athlete, I think you've kind of got accustomed to your schedule and kind of how to navigate things. What's been the biggest thing for you that you think you've personally gotten better at since you've gone to university, whether it's just as a student or even a student athlete in whole? Like what's been the biggest thing you've noticed about you that has improved or evolved over the years?
I would say the biggest thing is not procrastinating. Like learning that if I have to go to my job and I have practice and I want to work out and I have class, there's a very small amount of time that I have to do my schoolwork, and I can't procrastinate doing it, because if I procrastinate, I won't have time to do it later on.
Man, I can't lie, I'm a really bad procrastinator. I'm not gonna front, I'm really, really bad, but I think I've gotten better at it.
Yeah.
Would you say you're pretty bad at procrastinating yourself?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm bad.
Not to knock myself, but definitely.
Bad. No, I think a lot of people are bad, but they just don't want to confront it.
Yeah.
But even with that, though, I think it's been good, because I always on this podcast like to give student athletes kind of advice for like what they could do to be better. Based off your experience now, this is your fourth year as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're saying fourth year. What would your advice be to those students listening to this podcast in terms of how to like really become a successful student athlete?
I would say plan out your days. That's been something that's really, really helped me, and just in terms of making sure I get all my stuff in. So like at the beginning of the week, I sit down and I have my Monday to Sunday plan, and I know what schoolwork I need to get done when. And obviously stuff comes up, you can always switch it, but just having a bit of a plan throughout the week, just so that you know what you need to get done and that you are prepared for all your assignments and everything coming up.
So since you've been at Nipissing, you've obviously done Ringette, but have there been any other things you've done on your spare time? You know, whether it's in the community, whether it's been, I know you're also a student trainer, if you want to talk about that. Like, what are other things you've done outside of being a part of, you know, the Lakers Ringette team?
I work a lot. I've been working in the school board in North Bay, just emergency supply teaching, emergency YAing. I'm doing that a couple times a week, which is a lot. And I've gotten involved in doing the student trainer position, or athletic therapist student position, with the men's volleyball team. And that's been great so far. It's been really nice to connect with another team and more athletes and get to use my degree, because I don't think I mentioned, but I'm in phys ed. Yeah. So being able to... A lot of people are phys ed at Nipissing. Yeah, it's a big one. So being able to like use the things that I've learned in my degree so far and learn from the athletic therapists that are here has been a lot of fun.
And even touching on that too, because even when I first came here, like I was in psychology and then I switched into business. So even for you personally, like I can talk for me personally, like it was good for me to switch because I found something I'm really passionate about and really want to do. A lot of times, I even talked about this a couple years ago, a lot of times students might come into university with a major, and even if they don't like it, they really want to stick it out because they're kind of afraid to change. Yeah. What's your advice would be in terms of picking the right major? Because I think sometimes too, people pick a major, like I said, but they don't want to go through, but they keep going. And other times too, people are afraid to change, so that's why they just keep it up. But what's your advice in terms of picking a major that people can actually use to grow in terms of their skill set, but also too what they can use in their everyday life?
I think definitely at the beginning, like when you initially pick your major, make sure that you're taking your time and looking into one, what are the careers that you can get out of your major, and two, just really looking into it and not rushing it, and just taking your time and realizing like, yes, this is something I'm interested in, and not just picking something because coming out of high school or coming out of the workforce, you feel like you need to be in university because that's just the thing to do and that's what everybody's doing. And then once you're in it, there's no shame in switching majors because whatever you come out with, that's how you're going to get your career, or possibly your career, not necessarily, I guess. But the goal is to come out of university and be able to get a job of some sort. And if you're in a major that you don't like, then you're probably not going to love your job.
Coming back to school and getting wasting more money.
Exactly. So as soon as you realize that it's probably something you don't want to do, I would say look into different options of what you can do, and then go from there. And there's definitely no shame in switching.
Like you said earlier, you're in phys ed. So what do you hope to do with your degree once you're done? I never see.
So coming into university, I really wasn't too sure. This year has been really helpful for me in terms of, like I said, I started working in the school board. So I'm in the schools teaching and stuff. And then also working as an athletic therapist, which is another area that I'm very interested in. And just learning which side I like more and what I like to do more. So after this, I'm going to go into teaching.
Nice.
But it's been really nice to just learn about different things that I'm interested in, and I'm glad that I chose the degree I did because it can bring me to all of those different career paths.
Being in this community now for 4 years, I've seen kind of how small this community is, but also too how much growth has been over the last 4 years. And I like the fact too that athletes have really taken upon themselves, not even just at North Bay, but just athletes across, with OUA really got involved in the community, stuff like that. For you kind of growing up here, what has it been like to see kind of athletes, whether it be like myself or other people over the past, kind of really get involved in the community to make North Bay more inclusive, more, exciting, just whether it's anything, like just yesterday I was at, I see Relay for Life do some things, like a lot of athletes have done so what has it been like for you to kind of see athletes who are not from here come to Nipissing, hopefully doing things to really grow the community that you are a part of?
Yeah, well, it's been awesome, and our team, we definitely think that giving back is a really big deal. So one of our big things is our players volunteer their time to the Learn to Skate program through the West Ferris Ringette Association.
Oh, what is that, by the way?
So that is just for little kids that are trying to get on the ice.
Nice.
It's ran through the Ringette Association in North Bay. It's called the West Ferris Ringette Association.
Nice.
And they put on all the house league and all of the rep, and then a Learn to Skate program as well. So we will volunteer. There's normally about 8 of us, and we have to do a couple per semester.
Okay.
And it's been a pretty big thing for our team, and the community has been loving it. The kids love it. They had a Christmas skate. We had a couple girls that went to that. And just showing face and giving back to the community has been huge.
I love that because, especially I've always said, a community like this that's so small, it's very easy for us to have kind of like a voice and like have like just like a platform, right? Like it's not like schools like U of T or Carleton, like shout out to them, but they are big schools, right? So it's kind of harder for them to, because they're such a big city, especially me personally being from Toronto, but I like the fact that being here, you really have an opportunity to really give back to the community, put a face, right? Like a lot of times, Nipissing is really like the only big thing when it comes to sports up here. Whereas like we go home, like there's the Raptors, there's TFC, the Maple Leafs, so there's other avenues. So I really like the fact that Nipissing is really like the place to be, especially in a community like this.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something you talked about earlier in terms of Ringette, in terms of how it gave something for women in sports. When I first started the podcast back in 2020, I remember in 2021 when it's International Women's Day, I had all these girls come on discussing about women in sports. If you don't mind talking about it, what's it been like for you to really see the growth of women in sports here in North Bay? Because even once I was talking to the hockey team and they were talking about how much it's grown. So personally for you, if you want to talk about it, what's been the growth been like for giving a platform for women in sports?
I can only say good things, honestly. Like, it's been great giving all the little kids somewhere to go that, I know like hockey's obviously growing too, and now if someone wants to be playing competitive on ice game that isn't figure skating, they'll really go choose either ringette or hockey. And throughout both of those, like I just think it's been giving women in sport a great opportunity to get out and do different things. And even so, I know like Ringette was made for women in sport, so there hasn't really been like a men's league to come out of it. But I know that even with our house league in town, we also have some men that are on the team. So the way our team works, we play on a house league team as well, just to get some extra ice time. So there's men involved in that as well. And then as obviously there's women rep teams and whatever. But yeah, it's been great just to give everyone an opportunity and a safe space to go and do something you love.
I think it's awesome too. And even personally, like I said, going back to women's sport, I think it's really great to give equity Because a lot of times too, people talk about, and this is something too that I've talked about most of my teammates. People confuse the word equity and equality.
Yes.
There's equality, but I think when it comes to like obviously it was like race or woman, like the term needs to be used as equity. Because obviously because you guys have been so disadvantaged, you need more to get up with everyone else, right? So I'm really glad that there's been equitable responses to women in sports are really growing, and I really love that. Switching back to kind of talking about the team, you guys had a first semester. Obviously, you guys have some games you've talked to before. So, what does the rest of the season look like for you guys moving forward?
So we had a pretty successful first semester. The way it works for Ringette is since we don't have as much funding as the other teams, obviously, it's not very cost effective to go back and forth to different universities just to play one game.
Yeah.
So we chunk it all into tournaments.
Okay.
So we have a couple exhibition games and stuff. We had a couple at the beginning of the semester. But we'll do, so certain tournaments are bigger than others. So we had our UCCs, that was over the Christmas break, which we got a bronze medal in.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you.
And nice score game when it go, by the way, so shout out.
Thank you.
Shout out.
So that one it's called the University Challenge Cup.
Okay.
So that one's all of Canada. So we had teams, we played against teams from, like, we played Dalhousie, we played Lethbridge, we played Calgary.
Oh, you guys are all over the country with this. Okay.
So they all came it was hosted in Ottawa this year.
Okay.
So we played that, and then there was 2 tournaments beforehand, which we did well in. All the games have been really competitive, and we have 2 exhibition games coming up, and then we'll have a tournament in Guelph where we'll play. We don't have our schedule yet, but it'll be 5-ish games depending on how we do, and then we'll have provincials, and that one's an all Ontario University loop. So that one will be the big one that we've been working for so far this year.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know that the tournament. I knew you guys went to the one. I think that you guys came third, like we talked about. I didn't know that it was across the country. I thought it was just like Ontario schools. That's crazy. And you guys came third?
Yeah.
Look at you, girls. Okay.
Yeah, in our tier we came third.
Nice. I'm really happy. Well, this has been a great interview. Like I said, really, I'm glad that you made time to come here and talk. The final question I have for you before we get to the fun part is, you've been here for 4 years. Like I said, I always like to give people kind of nuggets of information. It's a sports podcast, but also too, I always like to intertwine life. What's been the biggest lesson that sports has taught you throughout your life, and how have you been able to use those lessons in your everyday life?
Oh wow, that's a loaded question. I could have so many different answers. I would say the biggest thing that sport has taught me is just how to be an adaptable person. So learning how to roll with the punches with stuff, because in sport you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So learning how to overcome different hurdles in life, and being able to let tough things roll off your back. And also another big thing is learning how to grow. So as an athlete, you'll have a coach, obviously, that's going to be telling you what to do and what not to do, and a lot of the time that's your person that you have to listen to, and whether you agree with them or not, it very much will be the same as like if you have a boss.
Yeah.
So learning how to deal with that, and that criticism as well.
Yeah. And then also my very final question would be, and I've actually asked this question before, but looking back since your 4th year, if you could go back and give your first year self one word of advice, just based off everything you know now, what would it be?
Probably don't stress the little things. The midterm mark that I didn't do that great on, I didn't need to get so upset over. Stressing out over, I don't know, like different classes and small little like friend scuffles and whatever. Like everything has a weird way of working out.
Yeah.
So I think just going back and being able to tell myself to relax a little bit would have been helpful.
Yeah. Well, that is great advice. Like I said, I always want to give people nuggets of advice. There's so much advice too that I could give, like I said, but probably the biggest one for me I'd probably say is like so you're gonna go through so much ups and downs, but enjoy all the highs and joys, all the lows, because everyone has a story, and obviously no one's. Let's be honest, life is obviously a crazy thing that everyone goes through, but no one's gonna believe a story that's just like this, where you're just going up, right? So like you're gonna go through ups, you're going through downs. Same thing in sports, right? So I even said at the bursary thing in September, like you're gonna go through a lot of highs, you're gonna go through a lot of lows, but enjoy them all, because that's going to make your story worth telling one day. Because if you see all the motivational speakers, all the people that are famous making out telling their stories are always about, okay, they talk about the good stuff, you gotta talk about the bad stuff.
Yeah,
Because
and not many people do. Everyone wants to make it look like that their life is great.
Their cookie cutter life.
Yeah, I promise you, nobody's is perfect.
Exactly, right? And even with sports, like, how many ups and downs do you go through with sports?
Oh, so many.
Right? So
there's a time when you get sat for a game or something and you think it's the end of the world. And then you'll go out next year and all of a sudden you're playing every single game. Or you go on and you have a bad shift. Then you have to come back off and regroup and go back on and figure it out.
Yeah. So like you said, you gotta go with the punches.
Exactly. And one thing too that I do want to touch on, just saying you mentioned earlier that North Bay doesn't have a lot of other sports. Like we don't have like an NBA team like Toronto has the Raptors or whatever. Now we have an OHL team that's obviously big, but when I was growing up, we only had Lakers sports.
Yeah.
So with your basketball games, like you guys have a lot of people coming out in the community, and I don't think the athletes here realize how big of role models we are to the youth in our community.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this right now. Like, let's keep going. We gotta talk about this. Actually, I'm actually glad, but keep going.
No, I just wanted to say, like, I remember growing up, like going to the hockey games with my family because that was the only big sports that we had growing up, and like I know we have a lot of youth come out to our games that are involved in like the West Ferris Ringette Association because we don't have any other big games that are here, and we don't have a big basketball team other than our Lakers, and the kids that come love it so much. And I actually for my community placement this year, I worked with the 3-on-3 camp, and I know a lot of people on your team do as well. The Lakers and the women's team both work that. Yeah. And then I remember going to your games and seeing all these kids being like, "Oh my god, like he coached me and she did this," and like it's like they all love you guys. So I think it's really important for all of our athletes to realize that you have a lot of kids looking up to you, and being a good person on and off the court or the ice or all of those different spots is really important, a lot more important than you would realize.
And it's crazy because when I first came in, I didn't realize that, and it took for once the COVID and obviously the George Floyd stuff, and I got involved and created Shoot for Change, like seeing how big that was, like you said it, like when athletes, and that's why I'm really excited for Shoot for Change this year, because I'm really going to touch on that, because luckily the schedule works out this year that a lot of athletes can come to the game this year.
Yeah, that's really nice.
So I'm really going to try to touch on that part. You said really, because last year's video was more about, I'm not going to give it away, but like last year's video was really about, like you got to get involved, and like all this stuff happened, like we got to keep the conversation going. Whereas this year, since we did the game and it went so well, it's really talking about the athletes. Like you said, athletes should get involved because we have a platform, especially in a small community like this. You touched on it, right? So like I really hope that with my message this year, hopefully with the game, we have a lot of big stuff coming up for the game this year, as everyone's starting to see on social media. But hopefully people can really get inspired to get back. And it doesn't even have to be about that, like Shoot for Change. It could be anything, right? Like I said, there's Relay for Life. There's so many different like things that people can do to get involved in our base. So I'm really glad you touched on that.
Thanks.
So Lauren, like I said, this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for coming. We're getting to a fun part now. I actually have not done this in a really, really, really long time. So this is the quick hitters. So for people who've been watching this podcast for a couple of years, this is where I ask a question and the guest has to answer the question as fast as possible. Lauren, I don't remember the last time I did this, so I'm really excited for this, to bring this back. We have been in person now for a few episodes now, but this is the first time I've done this probably a year. So Lauren, are you ready?
Oh, I don't know.
They're not hard, I promise you, but all right, question number 1. Who is your favorite musical artist?
The Weeknd right now.
Okay. Question number 2. Artist or song on repeat?
Beautiful Crazy Good Calls.
Question number 3. All-time favorite album?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh man, I have like way too many to choose from right now.
You want to skip that one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Question number 4. Do you have a favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete?
Yeah.
Right now, Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Just because, they're doing well.
Okay. Bengals, okay.
Yeah.
You think they're in the Super Bowl?
I hope so.
We'll see by the time it's recording.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset because they're playing the Bills this weekend, and that was the one I was hoping was going to go a little farther. But that's okay.
So we'll see what happens at the time it's recording, but we'll see. Question number 5. Last show you binge watched?
last show I binge watched The Office.
You know what's crazy? I never watched The Office.
Really? It's super cheesy, but it's a good feel-good show.
Yeah, I've always heard about it, but I've never watched The Office.
I would recommend it.
Okay, nice. Question number 6. If you could spend a day with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
I'm gonna go kind of cheesy and go my papa, just because I never got to meet him.
Okay. This is a personal one for me. I don't know where it's gonna go, but let's see. Lauren?
Yes.
Do you like pineapple pizza?
Do I like pineapple on pizza?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna say I would never order a pizza with pineapple on it.
But
if it was out, I wouldn't be the person to get upset over it. Like, I would eat it.
Okay, I can take that. I can live with that. I'm probably gonna lose on this one, but let's see. Milk before cereal or cereal before milk?
Cereal before milk.
Okay.
Did you lose on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few that's like milk.
Okay.
I'm one of the few. But
it's okay.
But I have had some people that over the podcast that actually do milk before cereal.
Really?
So, yes. Probably like less than 5, but I'll take it.
Okay.
Next question. This would be interesting. What's a song that you would never forget the lyrics to?
I'm gonna go bet on High School Musical.
You know what's crazy about it? It's probably one of my brother's favorite High School Musical.
Really?
Just the video.
I just heard it so many times when I was a kid that now it's engraved in my brain.
No, seriously. Probably. I have like 2 or 3. Definitely What You Say by Jason Derulo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let Me Love You by Mario.
I feel like as a DJ, you have to know like all the songs.
Yeah, but there's a couple songs like I'll never forget the lyrics to. Those are definitely 2. There might be one more, but those 2 for sure. Next question. I have not asked this one in a long time. If you had to stay on a deserted island, what 3 things are you taking with you?
Okay, I'm gonna go a first aid kit.
Okay.
Like a water purifier. Thing, so that I can clean the salt out of the water.
Okay.
I'm assuming I'm in a mission.
Okay.
And matches.
Okay. Interesting. Question number 11. What's one skill you wish you were good at?
One skill I wish I was good at?
Yeah.
Singing.
Same. Very common answer.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you could sing, what song would you want to sing?
All of them. If I could sing, I'd never shut up.
No, seriously. Last question. This is one question I have never, ever asked before. I'm interested in this question.
Okay.
If you had a time machine, would you want to go back in time to redo something in your past, or go to the future to get a peek of what you'll become?
I'm a pretty firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I would go back and redo everything or anything. But I don't want to go forward. Like, what if my life sucks?
I hope not.
I hope not too. Yeah. But like, she's gonna be depressed.
I know, but hey, you gotta. Hey,
you know what? I'd go back. Maybe I would like tell my past self that like some answers to a test, or like I tell them like some kind of game-winning score so that they can win big.
Man, why not? But I was curious. I never asked that question. I just wanted to ask it.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I gotta keep
thought-provoking.
Yeah, because there's been some clickers where I've thought about something like, let me switch it. Let me ask an interesting question.
Okay, I like that.
So that was good. But that's all the time we have. So Lauren, really appreciate you coming on. This was a really good episode. Yeah,
this was so fun. I'm really glad that I got to give some exposure to our team because we really don't get much. So it was awesome to tell the school about Ringette.
Yeah, shout out to Lakers Ringette. Do you want to shout out the Instagram, by the way? Can you guys have an Instagram?
Yes, we do. It's NU Ringette.
I would definitely put that in the comment section. So please, if you're on YouTube, you can see in the comment section. If you go on Apple Music, Spotify, you're definitely going to see it in the bio. So check them out. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And with that said, that is a wrap on another edition of the Lakers Locker. First episode 2023. We got more stuff coming. I want to thank my very special guest, Miss Lauryn Hamilton, for joining us. You can find the video version in on YouTube and listen to the full interview on all podcast streaming platforms. See you guys next week.